Yeah, hey, greetings from the fine state of Maine. We're up here traversing across a region widely known as the Carabasset Valley and Rangley Lakes on the side of what is this, 16? I forget whatever route this is. I'm from Maine originally, but that's down east. We're up here in Northup, about as far away from the part of Maine I was born in as you can get. Up here in northwestern Maine, looking out across the vast expanse of the Rangley Lakes, as I just said. So we're not gonna get into too much here, although the scenery is beautiful. Somewhere out there you can actually see the White Mountains of New Hampshire. In fact, this entire region, these so-called high peaks of Maine, are really just the Mahoosics, as they're otherwise known. I might be getting my terminology mismatched there, but I believe the Mahoosics are just the main section of the White Mountains. It's all the same, formation. And then, of course, you go, further north, east of here, up at the Baxter State Park, you get Katahdin, and you get like that other little, actually, technically, I think a smaller geographical range of mountains, but taller ones. So get back in the car. Still got about an hour to go to where we wanted to. Just gotta get out and stretch my legs. Wanted to come by and stop over here. Probably took me, a little bit out of my way, but that's okay. We'll get back in the vehicle. We'll continue on our merry journey. Take it easy, folks. I'll check back in with you when I'm at where we're actually going to be doing the first video up here. All right, now we're cooking. So I did the intro like an hour or so west, like southwest of here, but now I'm actually up here where I want it to be, looking at the plants I want to look at, and we're pretty high up. I mean, I started at like 2,100 feet. I think also came down one of the sketchiest roads I ever came down, but the my clapped out Hyundai still made it. A freaking minivan at the trailhead. I digress. The altitude here is having an effect that I expected, but was a bit concerned the severity of which it would affect us. And indeed, it is affecting us, but so far, not to the extent I haven't been able to identify any of my target species. So I've already gone by a number of them, nothing new, nothing novel, and I figured, be a good time to start, give my whole spiel, really get into the nitty-gritty of what we're working with when I came across a new species that I've never talked about before. And indeed, this is a new species to me, a species I've never covered before. Unfortunately, it is not in bloom, but it's maybe a week out from blooming, so still apparent what it is. What you're looking at there in frame is an orchid that goes by the name Platanthera orbiculata. This is the round-leaved bog orchid, and you'll be able to readily see why it gets that name in just a second. But indeed, we've come up to a nice, beautiful subalpine bog, rimmed with some black spruce, some willows making up what passes for hardwood. You get some maples nearby, some thuya growing too, and a whole myriad of cool subalpine bog species. Platanthera orbiculata being no stranger to that affinity. So Platanthera, the very species-rich genus of orchid, might be the most species-rich genus of orchid in New England. If it's not Platanthera, that honor would be bestowed to Spiranthes. So this species is not actually really all that rare in the grand scheme of things. It is very confined in New England to these upland boggy habitats where it is not terribly unusual of a plant to see. Generally speaking, prefers the higher elevation. I will, of course, put up the species, like the range map there for you. And, being at what we're at right now, which is probably maybe 2,600 feet, the phenology is going to be a bit delayed. But, I mean, even then, we're kind of at the early end for Platanthera to be blooming. Grandiflora can bloom in June, I think as early as May. But most of them are blooming, late June through July, even into like early August in some cases. So the only real cool anatomical features I can show you about this species right here are those those very humorous giant leaves, kind of giving it away as a Platanthera orbiculata, although you do have other species of Platanthera that do have those giant round pad-like leaves. Platanthera macrophylla comes to mind, which literally means large leaves. I think Platanthera flava, Platanthera hookeri can do that too. Just usually two leathery basal leaves just spluted out on the ground there. Bring the camera down and in a bit, and we can highlight at least one, one interesting thing that'll work for me about the flowers. And you can see, those sepals are still tightly wrapped up. Those ovaries not at all swollen, but you can still make out the nectar spurs underneath. I'll put a little arrow there, but that's the nectar spur right there. Should be center frame. So the thing has greenish whitish flowers, not the showiest thing in the world, even when it's in bloom. Just grows in supremely cool habitats, and I'll be happy to show you what that habitat looks like now. Absolutely beautiful subalpine bog. Got your black spruce. Got some willows over there. Your odd maple or two. Probably a sugar maple. And, there's a couple other things I want to highlight. Well, we are, right here in the vicinity of this, but I'll probably just cut the film and get to it rather than jostle the camera around trying to show you. But anyway, one last look there. Platanthera orbiculata. Nice to finally meet you. Check another Platanthera off the list. Do the leaves actually feel all that leathery? Oh, they feel like rubber gloves. It's fascinating. All right, we'll cut this. A couple other species over here I want to talk about. All right, the phone ended up being better for this, just to get in real close. You get your Linnaea borealis here. Another iconic boreal plant in the ooh, look at all the little guys in there doing something, maybe pollinating it, definitely benefiting off of it somehow. Linnaea borealis, twin flower in the family Caprifoliaceae, named after Carl Linnaeus, the man himself. These are a trademark of not just alpine, but certainly in alpine bogs, but just high latitude bogs. These are boreal, hence the epithet borealis. You get high enough in latitude or high enough in elevation, anywhere in the northern hemisphere, you'll be able to find some of these, usually in a boggy habitat. Take a look on the inside there. Beautiful pink color to the inside of the corolla. Usually two of them, as you often see with the family Caprifoliaceae. Go back and watch any of the episodes I would have done about, what was it there? The tinkerworts, whatever the heck they were called. Oh, this is filming upside down. Okay, I don't know what was going on there, but Triosteum and a lot of the Caprifoliaceae, the honeysuckles, they do two flowers on the inflorescence. It's kind of interesting. Nice patch of Cornus canadensis, often talked about. Don't really need to get into it right now. You get what looks like almost like some other type of dogwood here too. Look at the leaf venation there, and look at the leaf venation there. These usually grow into trees. Seeing them as herbs, even though Cornus canadensis is a very common plant in New England, seeing them as herbs is more unusual than it is typical. And then what was the other thing? Oh yeah, also nice little, common as hell, but likes this habitat, little Oxalis montana. The yellow ones are like the common weeds you see in your yard. These ones are nice, nice, beautiful pink plants of the boreal forest. Love the upland habit. Love just rich deciduous forests too. They start blooming in June. They carry on. Nice and prolific. So that's the just more of that habitat there. Not sure why the thing was. Obviously it won't carry over. I'll have fixed it in editing, but it was filming upside down for a moment there, which was a little bit odd. Anyway, we're actually up near close to where most of the target species are. Good to see that the Platanthera orbiculata being out gives me hope, because I think that's actually the latest blooming orchid, or latest blooming orchid I wanted to see. The monotropes that I was hoping to see, I already passed most of them, are not in bloom, but we'll talk about them on the way out. Okay, so pause here and we'll continue on. Yeah, okay, this one's in bloom. Second target species of the day. This is Moneses uniflora. Alright, this is the so-called one-flowered wintergreen. And this guy here is a relative of ghost pipes, wintergreens, beach drops, all those cool, mycoheterotrophic, sometimes they Caprifoliaceae, but what am I saying? A relative of the monotropes, you know what I mean? You've seen a ghost pipe, oh God, why am I going to, monotropa uniflora, you know what I'm talking about. So these generally are, doing some sort of parasitism on fungi. I believe that this species, it does have a nice little set of green leaves down there, is at the very most a hemiparasite. So definitely doing some photosynthesis, definitely doing some stealing. These guys, again, love the upland habitat. Probably blooming close to a month ago down in Massachusetts, where they're rather rare. Pretty prolific in boreal forests. So now we've kind of come out of the bog. Now we're more of like a lush, rich stream side. And in fact, I use this as an opportunity to kind of talk a little bit about the general habitat here. So general habitat here, we're inside of a glacial cirque. So if you've ever looked at Tuckerman's Ravine head-on, the Great Gulf, it's a cirque. It's a spot where a glacier parked and then subsequently ended up carving out a big chunk of the mountainside. Typically, they're some of the last places that see snow in the spring or even early summer in the cases of Mount Washington. And generally speaking, they are cooler even than areas at comparable elevation around them. What that also means is they tend to accumulate quite a bit of alluvium. They generally have nice, rich soils. And more often than not, they're very damp. Okay? And snowmelt really does an excellent job of keeping things moist and cool throughout the warmer months. So, Moneses uniflora here is one that you would expect to see quite often in these types of habitats. Unique to this particular cirque here in Maine too. It's all gabbro-based bedrock, which is an ultramafic rock, meaning it's high in magnesium. It's a volcanic rock. Gabbro is actually what composes most of the ocean floor. So some unique things playing into the geology here, influencing the plant communities as they always do. Always wanted to check this one out. Just a few more monotropes I need to check off my little monotrope list there. Similar to how I'm kind of doing, or how I'm planning to do a video, on all of the Corallorhiza, that'd be a cool video, all of the Cypripedium orchids. I'm thinking about stepping it up a notch and doing one as well on all of the New England monotrope species. So that remains to be seen. Check out the, let's see if I can get this in here without it being too poor quality. So your flower morphology, you're going to have a pair of porocidal anthers on each stamen there, or should I say porocidal theca, bifid stigma, swelling ovary, and then 5 petals. The floral morphology actually looks a lot like a Chimaphylla. This one's kind of in bad shape. Let's see, how's this one look? Ever so marginally better. Not as far along. But those anthers are freaking weird, dude. Nice bulbous ovary there, superior ovary in front of the point of attachment, and does not look like it has any sepals or anything like that. How about that? Really though, the anthers, there you go, on these things are super weird. Just like Chimaphylla. What a cool plant. Comes more rare. It comes, oh god. Generally speaking, will become, oh, did he fall? Oh crap, I'm sorry. It's okay, there's a whole bunch of them here. Not a globally rare plant, just one you gotta come up to some fairly inaccessible habitat to see. Feel bad about that though, sorry buddy. Chimaphylla, or not Chimaphylla, Moneses uniflora. Yeah, that one's in. This one's in good shape. Alright, on to the next target. Beautiful plant though, fascinating flower structure. Hey, here you go. There's a much better vantage point for Moneses uniflora. I'm not gonna redo my whole spiel, but get the idea. Also, the monotropes, that subfamily is in the family Ericaceae. I was in a rough spot to film and I kind of got away from myself a little bit there. So the monotropes are subfamily Monotropaceae in the blueberry family Ericaceae. One of the subfamilies that this one is in, Pyrolae, they do the vegetative leaves. The Pterosporae and the Monotropae are the ones that are achlorophyllous, obligate fungal parasites. It's highly likely that the Pyrolae are doing some stealing, but they're also able to do some sort of photosynthesis. I mentioned this before, but that is, referred to as hemiparasitism. Just wanted to clarify my points there. So I'll let you enjoy. Oh, there's a guy going in there to get something. Maybe he's pollinating it. And also to further elaborate, the anthers on these, they said they're porocytal. What that means is your typical longitudinally dehiscing anther opens like a hot dog bun, dumps out all of its pollen. Moneses uniflora, as with many members of the family Ericaceae, are employing porocytal anthers, which means that they need to be shaken, almost like a salt and pepper shaker. And the benefits of that are basically just, withholding pollen from us boiling. I'm taking some good photos of one up here now, and I can always put that as the inset, if need be, just for better detailed photos. In any case, now we're actually going to move on. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Oh well, still no luck with the Neotea we're looking for, either of them. One of which I'm actually don't think we'll be able to see, but the other one we should be able to find. I think that I was maybe poking around the wrong type of habitat. We've come up to the actual sort of body of the cirque here, and I think we're going to see a number of the species we want to see in this general area. But before we do that, another member of the Pyrola tribe, Orthilia secunda. This one's not in bloom. He's getting ready though, and just like the Moneses, probably a hemiparasite. He photosynthesizing a bit on his own, but he's also going to steal a little, as is tradition for most of these guys. Let's go check out what's going on up through here. And a cool little factoid about Orthilia secunda, that species epithet secunda is reference to the secund inflorescence, an inflorescence that hangs off in one direction. Flowers on this look much more like Pyrola flowers than the Moneses flowers. The Moneses flowers look like Chimathyla flowers. The Orthilia flowers look like Pyrola flowers. So, in case you were curious what these actually look like, I think I have a crappy picture of them in bloom that I can throw. A file photo, if you would, but still a fascinating plant. This one, bog plant, swamp plant. I've seen it growing up and down the trail. It's actually pretty common along this trail, but this is a nice, patch of them growing in a really cool little, I don't even know what you would call this, maybe like an old beaver dam. I'm not too sure if beavers even come up this high, but without further ado, let's go see what's going on up here. Oh, well, isn't that lovely? Look where we finally came out to. Not too shabby, huh? Probably Platanthera dilatata around here somewhere. Not seeing any pitcher plants though. Came out. This is the basin of the cirque here. All right. So this is where there's an accumulation of water, therefore an accumulation of peat. Therefore we can get some pretty cool and unusual. Well, not always unusual, but pretty cool. You get your Pachyra. You get your carnivorous plants. You get Drosera rotundifolia right here. You get what looks like it's going to be Lysomachia terrestris, the bog candles. And maybe we can fool around here for a little bit and see if we can find anything else good. But bet your money this is a nutrient poor, little basin of water here. We'll see what we can do here. If we don't find anything super interesting here, anything else super interesting here, I'll probably get pretty close to wrapping this up and heading back. Lovely area. Well, that's what'll happen. Took one wrong step and sunk knee deep into the mud. But that's the game we play, I suppose. Anyway, take a look at this nice rhododendron. Rhododendron groenlandicum, trademark species of the these nice alpine bogs. No pitcher plants, at least I'm not seeing any. But I think not that long of a hike back to where I parked my car. I'm thinking we'll call it quits there, because we still got we still got some nice stuff to see this weekend. But anyway, yeah, that's real nice. Yeah, rhododendron groenlandicum, likes the high altitude, likes the alpine bogs, and it's got the beautiful fuzzy undersides. How about that? We'll probably cut it off here, unless of course I do end up getting, any more of my targets, but I'm not holding my breath at this point. That was rather unpleasant, Well, as they fucking say, the funky beat continues. We did end up posting up with another one of our target species here. In fact, I found two of them. One is well past flower. We've talked about it enough this year, but I'll still show it to you. This one's a new one for me. So this right here is Pyrola minor, which I understood to have maybe more anthocyanin pigment in the stalk, but your dead ringer on this species, as with any, as you should with any species, is going to be the floral morphology. So this does resemble, fucking horseflies. This does resemble, to an extent, a very small version of Pyrola elliptica, a very, very common but still cool plant in the same genus. However, that plant, as well as I believe Pyrola rotundifolia, Pyrola americana, the two common ones, shine leaf and wintergreen, have a pretty extended stigma and with a thin style. This one has a very, horsefly again, short stigma with that nice fat style. Anthers up in there. This is another relative, just like Orthilia and just like Moneses. This is another monotrope, okay? This one is, much more closely resembles Orthilia secunda than it does Moneses uniflora, obviously. Gonna have small vegetative leaves that I guess those are kind of elliptic. But this, I've seen Pyrola elliptica plenty of times. The thing is much larger than this, and it's very common and tends to grow in a bit more of a, typical, for lack of a better term, I hate to say typical in that regard, but typical habitat. So we're gonna get this guy, get some nice photos of this one, because these are relatively rare. This is another circumboreal one. I think Orthilia secunda and Moneses uniflora all are. High elevation, high latitude, around the northern hemisphere, you start seeing these things. We're up at like the 45th parallel now, probably just under 25 or just at 2,500 feet. And these things are still not that abundant. The Platanthera orbiculata that we saw earlier is actually one that you get up in like Arctic tundra. It'll grow above the tree line in the Arctic. So this is, pretty far south and pretty balmy for that species. Still holding out some hope that we can see Neotia cordata, because if I'm able to find that, I'll basically wrap the whole thing up and go right home. As of right now, that's the only target species we haven't seen. I've given up on Neotia convolvulariis just because I think the phenology is completely off, and I don't think that we'll be getting to see that one this time of year. You probably have to come back late July, maybe even August to see that one out. Certainly in bloom. Neotia cordata still in the ballpark. Speaking of things out of bloom, just one of them, just a single little doodad there. You get your, I think you only made 3 flowers, it looks like. Corallorhiza trifida. That's an early coral root right there. Growing pretty much where I'd expect it to be. No leaves. I got excited because I thought maybe this was our Neotia. But even up here, it'd be a little bit early for that thing to be putting up fruits. But it's a good sign when you start seeing other orchids. Maybe the habitat's starting to get rich enough that you could find, Neotia. Poke around here just a bit longer, because now I'm, renewed. My hope has been renewed. But really, the winner for over here is the, where'd he go? Pyrola minor. The what do they call it? Small flowered wintergreen or small wintergreen, whatever shits your pants, There's another one right there. Likes the stream side habitat. I've seen some other pyrolas coming up further down that weren't in bloom. This one's further up. This is the furthest up I've seen them, and they are in bloom, which is, that phenology is a good hint as to that this is something different than what we've been seeing before. I saw Pyrola chlorantha, which I might stop and cover on my way back down, because now again, full of renewed hope and vigor. There's the fruit from last year, or at least, you know, what's left of a fruiting stalk from last year. Sorry, the quality there is not going to be great, but you get the idea. All the monotropes pretty much make, where'd you fucking go? Getting eaten alive by horseflies. Make these just pull it over here. So thing's already done. They make these very, God, it's gonna make me fight for every inch. Very characteristic capsules, okay? God, this horsefly's all over my phone. This is disgusting. All right, we're gonna see what else we can do here. Oh, what a nice little community. More pyrolas, more Pyrola minor. More Pyrola minor, growing with the tiniest little Moneses there ever fucking was. Nice. And then another little Moneses right there, covered in bugs, same bugs that was covered in the other one. Maybe they're hopefully beneficial. I would imagine they play some role in the ecology, but this exact habitat here, this is what we would expect to see. This is exactly where we would expect to see Neotia cordata. So I'm kind of bummed. I'm gonna shimmy down maybe a little bit further. I see 2 or 3 more moss banks I'm gonna check out, and if that's not it, I'm gonna, you know, check out. So stay tuned. Beautiful, beautiful little stream side habitat here. Again, exactly where we should be looking for our target, or like our last target orchid here. Stay tuned. Yeah, all right, that's gonna do it for here. We're gonna see if we can make the cutoff where the store is still open, or am I going next to go camping. But in any case, that's all I got for here. And that's what happens sometimes, even if you have what you think are decent pins, sometimes you just can't find what you're looking for. Maybe the phenology's off, maybe it's just not out yet. So for the Neotia convallaria that was certainly the case, but whatever, we got to see you know, a whole bunch of cool stuff anyway. So hopefully this was worthwhile for you, the viewer, because I still checked off some new plants for me, which is always nice to do. In any case, I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Actually, I'll show you one more thing, because this plant, you know, keeps tripping me up. I keep thinking this is the target plant, but it's not. See these leaves? That belong to this guy here. This is Mytella nuda, the naked bishop's cap. See the little snowflake appendages there? Also a fascinating plant. Also, you know, confined to the you know, far northern extremes of New England. Really cool plant. Almost got me a couple times there, because it does kind of almost for a split second have that form factor of an orchid, but Neotia would have two opposite colline leaves, which this doesn't have. This is a whole basal rosette. Whatever. It's cool. You know, you're cool too. You're cool too, I swear.